You could spend a whole lifetime reading in the vast walls of tomes in this library. Or you could go to patreon.com/WasesCastProductions. For less than the cost of Washington's late fees, you could support our show. That's bonus content, early access, and exclusive episodes just for you. Knowledge even a spirit owl doesn't have. Again, that's patreon.com/WasesCastProductions. Podcast style. Learn it. Countless others before us have justified their reasons for podcasting, but none are as handsome as us, which is important in an audio-based medium. Welcome to the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast to lie to Mr. Owl and send him back to hell. I'm your host, AJ Waseska. I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Metters.
We are the handsomest little people in your radio box.
And, of course, we would not be the handsomest boys without Chaz Mockimer.
I am the handsomest men's, if you know what I'm saying. What's up? How you doing?
We're back to do some Avatar this week, in case y'all haven't noticed. So before we get too deep, let's give you some links down below, including Patreon, YouTube, Pippa, Apple Podcast, Google Play. It might still be a thing when this comes out. I don't know. They keep saying it's going to go away, but I don't know when. They haven't said when. iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and hopefully by the time this comes out, some more will be added to that list. Can't promise anything. The intro song for this week is something. I've been actually editing these episodes recently, and I've been just using different songs from the episodes that, the actual, soundtrack from the show, which sounded pretty good. So if I have an episode song relevant to this episode, I will probably put it up there, like something from the library or something from Sokka. I don't know, something. We got some very Sokka-heavy episodes coming up here. Well, one very Sokka-heavy episode, but it's a good one. Are you guys ready to get started?
I am.
Always.
Well, we're going to get sweaty with Side A's Bitterwork, airing June 2nd, 2006, written by Aaron Eaz and directed by Ethan Spalding, and animated by DR Movie. The cast, there are no new voices or characters for this episode. But we're almost there. We almost got some new ones coming up. Ryan, do you have some fun facts for me?
I got two for you this evening. While talking about airbenders, Iroh says, they have a pretty good sense of humor. This is exemplified by Gyatso, who is seen pulling pranks on others. And last but not least, in this episode, Katara suggests Aang has trouble with earthbending because earth and air are opposites. However, in the Legend of Korra episode, A Leaf in the Wind. Oh man, I miss you, Wash. I'm sorry. In the Legend of Korra episode, A Leaf in the Wind, Tenzin specifies that the Avatar has most trouble with the element most opposite to their personality, which can, but does not always have to be, the natural opposite element. In Aang's case, it is. In Korra's case, since she's such an earthly kind of embodiment, it's hard for her to get to the spiritual side of air.
She's kind of a stubborn blockhead, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
I love her.
She's the jock avatar. We love her dearly.
Oh, no, I love her dearly. She's honestly just a lot of fun. I know she rubs them the wrong way, and I totally get that. But I just appreciate how different she is as a character. She's a lot of fun.
Yeah. You could hit her with a sledgehammer and the hammer would break. What do you mean?
I mean, you're not wrong. You're honestly not wrong. Man, I miss Tenzin. He was cool.
Me too, man. Damn.
J.K. Simmons knows how to make a good character. He really does. Anyway, I've got a synopsis for you boys for this first episode. Are you ready?
Yes.
Hit me with it.
Aang learns earthbending from Toph, discovering it is very antithetical to his personality. Katara tries to talk him through it, but he gets discouraged and leaves to find Sokka stuck in a hole. A wild Pokemon appears to battle, but Sokka can't escape. Aang has to weaken it first, or it won't run away. When he does, he then stands up to Toph, who is proud of his progress he's made in becoming a stubborn-ass earthbender. Meanwhile, Zuko learns lightning bending from Iroh, discovering it is very antithetical to his personality. Iroh then adjusts the lesson to teach his own signature move in redirecting lightning. He's like, quarter circle, AB, AB. Zuko learns it, but can't get Iroh to shoot lightning at him for the obvious reasons. He has a cry in a rainstorm, and he curses God or whatever.
God. What a fucking scene. Ugh.
So the first question I got for you is Aang's staff really a delicate instrument? Like, for reals?
I mean, to be fair, it does hold, like, a complex, like, glider in it.
But, bro...
And it's an antique.
But, bro, he's swinging that schlong around like it's nobody's business.
Shh. It's a delicate instrument.
But I mean, to be fair, it is the heritage of his people, right? That'd be like taking, like, if you were a native person and you took, I don't know, I don't want to be, like, politically incorrect. I realized after I started talking.
You know what? Let's adjust.
We're just slowly backing away from
let's adjust it to Mjolnir. Let's say you could pick up Mjolnir and break nuts with it. Thor would probably be pretty upset, even though it would not hurt the hammer at all.
Yeah.
Not necessarily,
exactly.
because I mean, like Mjolnir has he's hung Mjolnir up on a coat rack, dog. It's not.
I was thinking more like culturally, right? Like, it'd be like if you went up to a Viking and took his greatsword or his axe, right?
And my axe.
His Viking war axe, and you sat there and you started just cracking walnuts with it. It's not going to hurt the axe. It's made out of steel, but at the same time, he's going to be like, "Listen, bucko, that's meant for battle and hunting. Like, drop it. That's my heritage right there." And then boom, there you go. So yes, you're right. It's not a delicate instrument, but he's salty. He has every right to be salty.
Not salty as those walnuts, though. I tell you what.
Salty as D's nuts.
No. It's gonna be that kind of night. So speaking of salt, let's talk about Sokka's sea story real quick, because that's just so much fun. Like, the dude gets stuck in
his ever-going search for meat.
The dude gets stuck in a hole, but, like, it's just, like, probably the most uplifting part of the whole episode, I think.
To be fair, that baby moose lion was really cute. Like,
super cute. Super cute.
Good old foo-foo cuddly poops.
I mean, like, it's awesome because, like, it's obviously, like, it's purely just a comedic relief sea story, and also, like, the setup for, like, Aang having to get over himself to actually do the earthbending thing. But it's done so well that you don't even really, you're not mad. It's purely there to make you laugh and to set up Aang to do his thing. Like, so, I mean, like Sokka is like the crux of so many of those moments throughout the show that it's easy to just mistake him as comedic relief. But I think that shows just how versatile his character really is, because you can have him support the purely comedic stuff, and then you can have him like really trying to find his place in like this party of young bending masters, or like trying to figure out like how he's gonna be a warrior to make his father proud. You know, you can get you a man that can do both, is what I'm saying.
I also think that it's meant to be the dichotomy to what's going on with Zuko, right? Like, Zuko crying to God to strike him down is a little, that's a little heavy.
It's a little Batman, honestly.
Like,
you throwing everything else at me, let's go! Like, oh, like, shit,
literally,
this kid is going through something.
It's Bruce Almighty, right? Where he's like, smite me, oh smitey smiter, right? Like, he's just like, and he's crying, and he's just broke, right? He's broken, you know, especially because this is after, you know, Azula betrayed them, they cut their hair, they lost their identity completely, right? So it's just like, I think that the whole, if they didn't have Sokka being a jackalope and a stupid guy, I think that it would have, that episode would have been too heavy. I mean, that would have been some real heavy, like the cave where it's talking about frickin' Zuko's dad burning his face off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So keeping things on the deep question front here. We discussed teaching styles versus learning styles in regards to Jean a few episodes back. How do you feel the teaching learning styles in regards to Toph and Aang?
I mean, I think, and we mentioned this in episodes past, but I think like in terms of finding the right teacher, while Aang kind of resistant to Toph's teaching, I think it is exactly what he needed. But that doesn't mean it was perfect, because you also get Katara giving Toph some some help as like the kind of student that Aang is. And Toph, although she is super stubborn, is also wise enough to be able to see the wisdom in that, and she actually changes up her style just a little bit so that she can kind of meet him halfway there. So yeah, I think like a lot of people who are like, Boomy could have taught him all this shit. Like Boomy would have been I think Boomy would have been a good teacher, but in terms of just like actually getting him to like look at things from different angles, but in terms of solidifying parts of Aang's like identity and personality, because like we see this strength and this resolve really take root, and we see that in Aang throughout the rest of the series. Like, it's easy to write it off just for this episode because he starts to do earthbending, but from here on out, Aang has more kind of resolution in him. Like, when it comes time to say, no, this shit's happening, like, Aang is much more solid from this point on. So yeah, I definitely think Toph was the right teacher for him.
Well, let's not forget, too, that his training doesn't end in this episode, obviously. Like, even in later episodes, Toph will allude to the fact that, hey, your earthbending still needs work. Like, he is still learning this and training in this from here on out. But this is, like, a good, like, starting point. Like, hey, these are the foundations, and you're going to just build it up from here.
Step.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Toph is, like you said, Ryan, I 100% agree with you. I think it's the teacher that he needed. Because, I mean, there's always... everybody has their first teacher, right? That like teaches them up to a certain point, but I really do think that the more you learn from different people, the better overall you become. So like, sure, he learns from Katara, which is awesome, right? And she's a good teacher for him, but if every teacher was like that, he would never learn, right? And so I think, just like you said, Ryan, she was the perfect teacher for him in that. And it also adds that not dichotomy, but it also adds that difference of like a well-balanced diet, right? Like you can't just sit there and eat freaking a carrot all day long and only carrots and expect to have a healthy lifestyle. You need to put in some taters or some lettuce or other things in order to balance it out.
Right.
Well, it's like you said, it's like taking wisdom from places. It's actually what Iroh gets into literally in this episode. We'll jump in here in a minute, but it's like taking wisdom from other places outside of your own little sphere. And in reality, it's kind of like trying to compromise and learn from opposite points of view, whether it's political or anything else. Like just because not every one person's gonna have the answer. You might have to pull from other walks of life, other lines of thinking to get a full picture of what the answer to a given situation is. And I think that's definitely the Toph Aang relationship to a T. Like they're opposites of each other, but they kind of need each other to make themselves better people.
Yeah, I agree.
Well put. Yeah.
And we'll jump down to this question from Iroh because this is really important. What do you think of Iroh's lecture on the Four Nations, and what does this say about his sense of nationalism / allegiance to the Fire Nation? And also, how long do you think he's held on to these beliefs?
My man is eons beyond everybody at this point. he's
hands
down.
down.
Man's living in the future, and everybody else is in the Stone Ages still. As far as how long he's held these beliefs, I could definitely see. I could definitely see like part of them, like the foundation of it, kind of being there while he was still in the good graces of the Fire Nation. But I think once his son passes, he really takes a deep look at everything that not only he's been a part of, but everything that his nation has done. And you gotta remember that during the course of their 100 years of fucking war against everybody else, Iroh has been going to all different places in the world, and he's seen all different types of cultures and societies. So if they're like, if it's almost like he couldn't help but become more aware to how foreigners really work in tandem and have like that really global perspective, because he's been traveling all this time. I think it really just took that tragedy to make it stick in his head.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I think, like you said, my Daddy Iroh is heckin' Big Daddy in this one, right? Like, he so wise, so smart. As an answer to like his, I think this is the first episode. Well, really, like the first or second episode where he really like, where you can tell he's not really there for the Fire Nation. He's there for Zuko, right? Like, he's there only for him. He doesn't give two shakes of a lamb's tail about anything else except being there for his nephew, which is awesome. I also think that there's a point later in the show where he says, I had a vision that I was going to take Ba Sing Se, or I was going to conquer Ba Sing Se, and I thought that it would be for the Fire Nation, but I realized it's for conquering it back from the Fire Nation, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that there was a point where he was super like zealous, like Fire Nation 100, we out here, we gonna beat some cheeks, we gonna kill whoever we need to kill, burn whoever we gotta burn, and then go from there. Which I think is kind of where he was sitting in the until his son died. And then I do think, like you said, Ryan, I think when his son died, I think he really did take a long look at himself and realize, oh shoot, maybe all of this pain I've put onto other people this is how it feels, and I don't want to do that to other people. And then he was able to then learn. Does it ever say when he went to the Sun Temple?
They never really touch on it.
No, they don't place it when, like, in the timeline.
Because I've always been curious, did he go there with Liu Ten, or was it after that?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was after that, because like if you see if he's 100% for the Fire Nation, then it's more likely that he does actually try to kill the dragon. But I think like after the grief has humbled him, and after he starts to go on the path of wisdom, he finds the dragons and realizes that, like, oh my god, we can't rid the world of these guys. What are you talking about? So he helps.
Yeah, like these.
I want to say it might have been before then,
okay.
though.
I was just curious
because if I recall a line of dialogue, and I might be misremembering, so if we get to the episode and I find out I'm wrong, I'm okay to admit it. But from what I understand, I think it's anytime a new Fire Lord is chosen, they're asked to slay a dragon to kind of prove their worth or something like that, or something along those lines. And so I think Iroh would have had to have done it before Ozai became a Fire Lord to prevent Ozai from killing the last dragons. Am I wrong there?
No. So he says that the title the dragon is only bestowed on legendary firebenders that actually get
like the Dragon of the West. Okay, I get you.
Right, that's why he's known as the Dragon of the West, because he is said to have slain the last dragon, and what he did was he just hid the last dragons.
Okay. I it's been a minute since I've seen the episode. I couldn't remember the exact verbiage, but now I remember. Okay. Thanks for clearing that up.
We're recording this like months after we don't watch the shit.
Man, it's been a ride.
Man, this year has been a whole thing. It's fine.
So we were talking about it.
It's been a minute.
So we were talking about it a bit, but I think we can all agree Iroh prequel series needs to happen at some point.
Oh, dude, don't have me weeping like that. That's gonna be too good.
I feel like it would have to start either right when Lu Ten passes, or you have to have a couple episodes building up to it, or maybe even your first like mini arc is like, oh hey, Iroh is an asshole. Oh wait, Lu Ten dies. Oh, Iroh becomes Iroh now.
Iroh's much better boy. I think it'd be really cool to see his journey through the different nations after Lu Ten dies.
Absolutely, 100%.
Mm.
Yeah, give me that. Give me that.
Let's see. The events of this episode seem to take place over the course of a single day. Is it believable Aang would pick up earthbending that quick? Why or why not?
He's the freaking Avatar. Of course he could pick it up quick.
I mean, it's more than he's just the Avatar. I think it's because he's Aang. Aang is a fucking prodigy. and like you said, he doesn't master it in a day, but his mindset gets to the point where he can start doing it, and he can actually start producing results. So, but I mean, it's Aang. Like, this is the kid who mastered earthbending at 13, who started to pick up a good portion of waterbending just from a scroll and Katara's half-done teaching before she becomes master level. Like, the main reason why he doesn't master waterbending immediately is because he's so used to gliding on his talent that he hasn't really had to try. So earthbending is the first time that he actually has to try, but I mean, the talent is there. So I think it's just because of Aang. It's absolutely believable that he starts to pick this up in a day.
Yeah, it's... Again, like you said, he picked up airbending by the age of freaking 13. Mastered waterbending in a couple of months, basically. I mean, he's not as good as Katara, fair enough, but, like, he ain't too shabby. You know, it's... I don't know, he cheats. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Behold our protagonist's powers.
He's rocking mods, man. Come on.
Pretty much. Final question for this episode. What is your take on the idea of struggling with your opposite element, and what element do you think you personally would struggle with as the Avatar?
I would say water for me. I'm not a very graceful person.
Fair.
I love swimming is like my favorite thing. I love being in the water, so I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I would probably say either air or water, just because you need to be. I honestly take that back. I would go with air because you need to be very light and graceful and cunning. And I am very. I'm a smart boy, but like I'm usually pretty much if it don't come out, get a bigger wrench kind of guy. You know, I don't go get the WD-40. I just get a bigger wrench and try to crank it off that way. So, yeah, just kind of. I would say for me, air.
Okay.
Well, in a surprising twist, I think I'm similar to Chaz. But for coming at it from a different angle, while I do consider myself to be a somewhat graceful person, I think my inability to let some things go. The air nomads really focus on impermanence and like the ability to detach, to really kind of take a step back from the material. Would be a bit harder for me, like in a similar way to a future issue that Aang is going to have with refusing to let things go. We'll get to that episode when we get there. But I think I would have a bit of an issue with the impermanence and like the general mind state of an airbender. So yeah, I'd say air.
For me, I would say that air would probably not be as difficult for me. I'm not saying I'm like, a monk or anything, but I do think I've got the patience for it. I think I could probably figure it out. I think my issue would probably be firebending. I am not a very aggressive person, and I am not a very... You could argue I don't come off as a very passionate person. I'm a very cold, calculating, like strategic kind of person. So I think firebending would be difficult for me to pull off on a regular basis, I think.
That's fair. That's fair.
I like to describe myself as cold.
What do you think would be the easiest one for you to master?
I hate to say water bending, but I feel like I'm also stubborn enough to maybe do earth bending. I'm pretty stubborn.
Ryan?
I'd either be water or fire. Probably more water than fire. But yeah, I'm gonna lock in and say water. Yeah.
I could do. I think I'm fire. I have enough rage boiling inside of me and passion that I could let it out.
I like how we all have a pretty solid understanding of ourselves.
Yeah. Either fire or earth, just because, again, no, my brother-in-law would be an earthbender. I'll tell you what, you want to meet somebody dense, I love the guy. He's amazing. Honey, you know what I'm saying, right? Like, Brooks would 100% be an earthbender. Dude, you could hit the guy with a car, the car would blow up. What do you mean?
He's so dense. Oh my god.
Dude, I love him. He's an awesome, like, legitimately, he's a awesome person. Like, I'm not just saying that because I'm saying he's dense. Like, he's really a cool dude. I've known him longer than I've known my wife. But, like, dude, he is a freaking brick on top of a steel plate, on top of, surrounded by more steel. Like, it is insane. He's
I love it.
denser than Alcatraz. Anyway.
We'll jump out of our second episode. For Side B, we'll be talking about we'll be taking a trip to the library. Notice I no longer say library or book box. Originally airing in July of 14th of 2006, written by John O'Brien and directed by Giancarlo Volpe. Animation duties were done by JM Animation. The cast was added some new names, including Rafael Sabarge as Professor Zay and Hector Elizondo as Juan Shiton. We have a... What was that?
I'm not ready for this. Not ready for this episode. I said I'm not ready for this episode yet.
It's gonna hit. It's gonna hit.
Man.
Before we get that,
Can
though...
we pause? I can't do it!
Before we get there, though, we have a few fun facts. Ryan,
Alright, keep going.
we got some fun facts.
Alright, hopefully these are fun. The first of which, Wan Shitong represents himself as either a barn owl or a serpent-like creature. Both animals are used as symbols for knowledge in the real world, despite owls traditionally representing wisdom and mystery. Owls, in actuality, aren't a very intelligent bird. Very cunning, but not very bright.
Excuse? They're pretty smart. What do you mean?
Dude, have you seen crows? Crows are pretty intelligent. Like they're
Yeah, now if it was a
Crows and
corvid,
ravens.
holy shit.
Corvids are smart birds, bro.
Death. Now, we've got continuity checks, and I got two of them. As revealed in a previous episode, Zhao has visited an underground library. God damn it. Here, Wan Shitong mentions him as a firebender who came a few years back. So, click.
How do you think he found it?
I mean, it's been stated that he's been going around the world looking for various things. So if a random if a random professor can hear about this library, I'm
That's
sure
fair.
he can. Yeah.
And I think
Plus he has an army at his beck and call that can literally comb the desert.
well, and like
Spaceballs, huh?
Yep.
and I don't think Zhao is dumb. I think he's arrogant and I think he's really hot-headed. I think he's quick to anger, but I don't think he's a dumb guy. I think he's actually really well read. He just has a very bad
Was
temper.
dumb. He's dead now. God killed him. Not Aang. God killed him. Sorry. Keep going.
Actually, we find out that he's not dead, but that'll be
He's just taken to the Shadow Realm.
that'll be for Korra.
I haven't watched Korra,
Spanish.
so I need to.
You really do. It's pretty good.
All right. Well, last continuity check. Aang comes across a book which depicts the meeting of a human and a lion turtle, foreshadowing his own encounter with one during the series finale, as well as what they will go back to in the masterful short series of Wan, the first Avatar.
That is a pretty good short series, yeah.
God, it's too good. It's too good.
Well, I've got a brief synopsis for you boys here, and here we go. Tired of not being the main character, Sokka demands to go to the library for his special trip. A magic library they hear about from a nerd from Ba Sing Se. Sokka hopes to learn more about the Fire Nation, even a map will do. But Mr. Owl uses sense motive and doesn't trust Sokka to not use his information for violence. Of course he's right. Sokka learns of an eclipse that will render firebenders powerless. Mr. Owl then proceeds to chase them out of the library. Meanwhile, jerkbenders are stealing Appa, while Toph is desperately trying to prevent the library from sinking into the desert. Yeah, things get a little weird and chaotic all at once, in case you hadn't noticed. The gang gets out of the library to discover their ride has been jacked, and they're stranded in the middle of a desert.
Did you just call Appa a ride? Because on God, I'm about to throw hands.
So yeah, that was an episode.
They stole my boy! Oh God. Just
Literally
murder.
stole the best character of the show.
What hurts worse, though? This episode where it gets stolen, or having to relive it again in, like, 3 or 4 episodes?
Oh, dude. Like book 2 is the hardest to watch because of the series of episodes.
Well, dude,
because of the next, like, 4 or 5 episodes. I absolutely agree.
It's the Empire Strikes Back of Avatar, honestly.
It is.
What?
You got to go through your dark point so that you can rise, and the victory will be that much sweeter. But shit's dark, man.
Yeah, it is.
Makes me very mad. Makes me very mad.
Well, let's start with the positive stuff first. The stuff that no one can argue is good. So we get a number of blind jokes from Toph. Do you think these are good, bad, insensitive, tasteful? What are your thoughts on these?
I have fun with them, particularly because Toph is the one making them, but also because Toph is so fucking, like, she's so capable that everybody forgets she's blind. And I think that's the crux of, like, the good joke. Nobody's making fun of her for being blind. She's like, guys, I can't fucking see. Serious.
Yep. I don't really like
Don't
books.
forget.
So good.
Yeah. Hey, guys, it's over there.
Is what I would say. Is what I'm sure one of you will say at any moment now.
When we find it, yep.
Toph is just magic. She's so good.
This is also an important setup because this is like the first time where Toph, like, even is kind of impeded by her disability.
Oh, with the sand making
like,
her vision
I
fuzzy.
can't right, because she can't. Yeah, her vision's fuzzy in the sand. Like, so this is the first time that we've gotten to a combat scenario, and Toph hasn't been like, all right, fucking clear out. I'm about to tear all these people to bits, like, right now. Like,
Yup.
also on top of that, she's also trying to keep the fucking tower from sinking. So it's just like she's spinning 10 plates. And she's less awesome than usual because she's in sand. So the constant blind jokes, while funny, also serve as kind of like a setup for that.
That's pretty smart. I actually didn't really catch that. That's a solid pickup. That's a solid grab on you, Ryan. I like that.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts regarding this? What are your thoughts regarding this episode, tying lots of continuity together, as we already mentioned, from both season 1 and into season 3? And did you expect to ever see a lion turtle in your first viewing after this episode?
First viewing,
Wait.
no.
Wait, rinse and repeat. What was that again?
Did you ever expect that we'd actually ever see the lion turtle mentioned in this episode any other point in the series? Like, it's a blink and you miss it reference. So I mean, I can understand not expecting it at all.
I don't know. I guess no. I didn't. I didn't even realize it the first time I watched it. I thought it was just, oh, it's a freaking lion turtle. Never even thought about it.
Yeah. It's like the episode we talked about earlier where they had the plans for the drill, and you didn't really notice it until you go back to watch it, and you're like, oh, that's the thing. I really do love it when they do this like very subtle foreshadowing, and it's just something you're not going to catch unless you're looking for it.
Right. I feel like there's a good way and a bad way to do setups like this. You know what? Actually, no, that's too broad. It's like there's a subtle way and an overt way, and there are overt things that you can bring up where it's just like, oh, I'm sure this won't come up later. You know, like when towards the end of the first season, where you're getting a tour of the Southern Water tribe, and like, I'm gonna take you to our most spiritual place, and it's like the only green on the island, and you see these two fish just swimming around in a single pond. That won't be important later.
Nope,
of course
not at all.
not. You know.
Well,
So you got the overt thing, and then you have the, oh, there's a lion turtle over there, where it's like, for that you could feel like they threw it in there because it would be cool, but also I feel like they're like, there might be a chance that we can work this in later. We're just gonna throw it in there, just a little nod. If we can't, then we can just have it be an interesting piece of lore. But if we can, holy hell,
well,
we look like geniuses because we foreshadowed that subtly.
Well, and considering the fact that we are now entering an arc of episodes that tie in together one after another for pretty much the rest of the season, for the most part, I have to believe at this point in the show they have planned out most of what they want to have happen, and so now whatever they put in as like foreshadowing for later events is actual foreshadowing, not just little references that they might get to later. Like, I think at this point they know where they want it to go or have a very strong idea. It's just a matter of now we're setting up the breadcrumbs to get there. If this had been season 1, I would have been like, okay, yeah, this is just a blink and you miss a reference. But I think this is maybe pretty intentional.
Were the books written before? I've asked this like 80 times, I know, and I keep forgetting. Were the books written before or after the show?
So you're talking the comic books?
Yeah, like the graphic novel.
They're all after the show. Because they all take place after the events of the show.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. No, you're good.
Okay, I'm tracking. I keep forgetting. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. Something very important. I don't know what I was guessing.
But I think Ryan, another good way to do it from your obvious foreshadowing versus subtle foreshadowing or subtle references. Look at Marvel, for example, and then also look at DC. Great examples here for subtle references. Hey, look at that map in the background. That looks like it's a circle over an area in Africa. Maybe Wakanda? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out later. Meanwhile, over in DC, oh hey, here's some trailers for Flash, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman. in your Batman movie.
Yeah. Or you know when Stephen Strange is just like very fast, like very quickly name dropped as early as the Winter Soldier. It's just like, wait, what? What do you mean?
True. Yep.
Like, I don't want to toot Marvel's horn too much, but they have mastered this whole subtle referencing thing pretty hardcore.
Oh yeah, no, they've got it, man. They've got it.
I also think that it's not too surprising. I mean, I think the reason that it wasn't surprising for the lion turtle, for me at least, like, in that I maybe thought that it was just a passing thing, is because of like what the lion turtle represents in the Asian culture is pretty significant in the first place. So I was just like, oh, that's cool. Keep going. I don't know. I guess, like you said, I did not think about it the first time I watched it.
So next up I got here, how long would you want to spend just exploring and checking out this library shown in the episode, assuming the Fire Nation section is still intact as well? And how much history knowledge do you think is lost to time when this library disappears?
I mean, this is a pretty clear reference to the Library of Alexandria. Yeah. So, like, I think it's definitely a clear nod to that. And I mean, there are like centuries of knowledge that it's forever lost to time, like in the real world, because nobody can find where this place is. So, like, I think it would be amazing. Like, if I could, like, I don't think I would be so enamored with the idea of learning history that I would stay there like Professor Zay, but I still think it's like the idea of it is amazing, and it's really it's a tragedy that it is actually lost to time, at least for now, until Aang's granddaughter like tricks him into like, hey, come on, stop being a dick, let people know.
Brian, you're spoiling Legend of Korra.
It's so good.
It's so good. Anyway, Chad, you ready to say something?
No, I was not. Well, I mean, kind of, I guess, maybe.
Go ahead.
I think that the library being destroyed, right, it is 100% about the Library of Alexandria. I mean, it'd be almost like if we lost, like, the Library of Congress, right? Yeah. Like, but before the internet. I mean, nowadays we have the internet, so frickin' who cares, right? Like, you could burn out a library. There's books online. Yeah, it would be a tragedy, and I would be very sad because I love books. But, like, especially in the time frame that this is based in, like, it would be like before internet if we just burning down libraries, or before, like, modern printing, if you had a copy of a book, it was all by hand, by monks or by scholars or by a writer who would write multiple copies of the same book. I mean, before the printing press, I mean, hot damn, dude, books were expensive. Paper was expensive, so all of that knowledge lost. And then, I mean, like you said, there's all the knowledge about, like, the Fire Nation or anything else in there too that have just been brought in by those cute little foxes.
Dude, I would love to have one of those foxes. Those things are cool.
Bring me books just randomly. I mean, could you imagine what happens when the cops come by? Your fox just stole the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, cool. Nick Cage could barely do that.
Your fox is literally Nicolas Cage.
Oh, dude, I would so name my fox Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be
Steal
great.
the Declaration.
You know what to do.
Yes.
I'd be torn between Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Wilde from Zootopia.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's a good reference. That's a good one. I like that. Dude, Zootopia is so good. We'll have to get that one at some point.
It is.
Next up, is Wan Shi-tan right in hoarding information from people who would use it to harm others, or is Sokka right in justifying their side of the war? Is there ever really a true justification for war?
Pulling out the big question.
Oh yeah, no, it's here. It's here. It's ready for you.
Okay.
Oh man.
Who'd like to tackle this wavy
I can go first, or I can go first, or someone else can.
Go first, Jeff.
Okay, so we'll start off with the easy part. Is he right for hoarding knowledge without giving it out to people? No. I think knowledge should be shared freely and equally between everybody. That way, everybody has the same information and then can have better educated opinions about everything. Regardless of whether or not you understand it, right? Like, my wife is very smart. She's has medical stuff that she does for physical therapy, and she'll explain stuff to me about human anatomy. I don't understand a gosh darn thing about it, right? So that's the only problem with having too much information, is that you won't understand it, but having all of the information, I think, is good. So I think it is wrong to hoard information and not share it. Do I think that? So that was the first question. What was the second part of the question? It was like three parts, right?
Yep. Is Sokka right in justifying their side of the war?
So everybody lives in a 2-story house.
Okay.
I personally don't believe in war. I think that there's better ways to settle things, but I think that in the case in this case, and in a lot of other cases that have happened. For example, oh God, when like Britain took over India,
Okay.
right? And then India rebelled multiple times because they didn't like how they were being run as a country. They were being, it was not a good time for them. They were being beaten and abused and extorted for everything, right? So that is the only kind of war that I personally think is ever justified, is when it is a dictatorship or totalitarian government or something like that that's taken over and not allowing freedom. Now, I do believe in the fact that he was keeping things hidden, because I don't believe that knowledge should be used to hurt other people. Right?
Right.
Like, I believe that knowledge should be used to better the world. Now, do I understand where Sokka's coming from and saying, like, oh, it's your boy, we need this knowledge, otherwise we are going to lose. Like, we need it. Like, otherwise 100% we will lose, and the whole world will be destroyed, basically. It'll be out of balance, the Fire Nation will win, whatever the case may be. Yeah, 100% understand it, absolutely, right? It would be a terrible situation to be in, but I also understand the passive approach of Wan Shitan in saying, no, that's not what this is for. This is meant for scholars. This is meant to better humanity. This is not meant for killing. I mean, because that's what they were going to use it for. I mean, regardless of right, wrong, left, right, or center, they wanted the information on how to go in and kill people in the Fire Nation, how to kill the Fire Lord. That's what they wanted. Regardless of if it was right or wrong, they were going to use that information to kill somebody. And it's something that morally I struggle with. It's like capital punishment, right? Like, if somebody kills somebody else, do they forfeit their life?
Well, the problem with that too is you don't know.
Fire Lord Ozai killed a bunch of people.
Well, I was gonna say the problem too with the capital punishment thing is if you get someone for a crime of murder, but they didn't do it, or there's not enough evidence to 100% say without a shadow that they did it, you may end up killing the wrong person then too.
Yeah, that too. I mean, you go in and you start shooting earth rocks at people, and all of a sudden, you just took away a father from his family, or a mother from her family, or somebody's kid, or you start just because, and all they're doing is following orders, right? Now, yeah, I get it. If you silently follow orders, you're no better than the person who's committing the genocide, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get it, and it makes perfect sense. I understand that, but at the same time, you do also need to realize that sometimes people don't have a choice, right? That's what they have to do in order to be alive, I guess, or in order to support their families or support themselves.
This is a really tough discussion, isn't it?
Yes, it frickin' is. You asked such a hard question. I didn't know it was coming, and so I didn't have anything prepared for this, Aaron. So, as an answer to the second question, do I understand where Sokka's coming from? Yes. Do I understand where the owl dude is coming from? Yes. So it's a dichotomy of wills, right? Like, you don't, like, it just depends on who has the stronger will. I don't agree with them stealing the information at all. I think that that's a breaking of trust and lying. I don't agree with that at all. In terms of, do I ever think that war is justifiable? I do. I think in the presence of great oppression and tyranny, I do believe it is. Like, obviously not, sending people over to die for the oil barons and oil companies. That's not good. But, like, if somebody's getting legitimately, like, genocide, right?
Hitler 2.0.
What happened? Hitler 2.0, or what happened in Aleppo? Was it over in the Middle least,
Mm-hmm.
where the dude was like nerve gassing the city, right? Like that's not okay. That's where you start saying, all right, maybe it's time that we step up and we do something about this, right? But other than something like that, where you're helping save somebody who can't save themselves, basically, and fighting for a cause that is worth fighting for, but then you start thinking what's worth fighting for, that's subjective too, dude. Why do you ask these freaking like philosophy questions or ethical questions on a podcast about an animated TV show, a kid's show?
Because these are the questions.
This is a freaking kid's show, Aaron.
Because these are the questions this show makes you think about, and you have to just applaud the amount of depth this show is willing to take you on. Ryan, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. I largely agree on most parts. I do think that while the majority of knowledge should be free and sent for the betterment of mankind, I do also I believe there is some knowledge that might be too dangerous for public consumption. I think the majority of those are always either I think the majority of those things are always either in terms of state secrets that can actively harm entire nations should the wrong people get them, or in the capability to cause massive destruction and death, like the same reason why you can't look up how to make an atom bomb online. Yes, I agree. There are some things that I believe are too dangerous for public consumption. I do understand that Wan Shitong makes a very good point in that most people can justify their side of the war, and that wars fought a lot of the time, wars fought a lot of the times are just come down to different ideologies and conflicts between people in power. But there are definitely times, like World War II and like in Avatar, where there is a more clear delineation between right and wrong, where one side is literally just hell-bent on domination for their own kind of glorification, and the other people are just trying to
survive,
not be conquered. But, I mean, Wan Shitong's lived for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and he's seen wars come and go for every different kind of reason. Him making that stance definitely is understandable, and Sokka lying to him to try to save his way of life is also understandable. So, I mean, I agree with it. I wouldn't say that all wars are justifiable, but I definitely think there are some that have a clear line between right and wrong, and Sokka just happened to find himself in one of those.
Speaking of Sokka,
himself in the right.
Speaking of Sokka, I'll make this next question very quick. Considering how long it takes the planetarium to work, why does Sokka think he's enough time to check every day between now and the comet, but as the library sinks, and how much time does it actually does pass, do you think?
A good minute, man. Like a good minute, passes.
Yeah, they're in that library for a long time.
Like, how is Toph holding that shit up for that long? Jesus Christ.
Okay, no, that's actually a really interesting thing. Are they is the attack happening while they're looking in the astrarium? Because that's crazy if that's the case.
Well, the library is sinking when they're in when they're back in the observatory. So when he's checking the multiple dates, it is going down. So
yeah, okay, that's a bit of a stretch. Like,
it's a cool scene. Don't get me wrong, but man, the timing on that does not make any sense.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch of disbelief. I think it's just because you're so you're so immersed in the situation. Everything's going to hell. The fucking tower's sinking. They've got a fucking dragon owl chasing them. fucking people are stealing apples.
Dragon
Like,
owl.
like honestly, when he started getting like all like long and necky and thing, I was just like, oh yeah, that's a dragon owl is what that is.
Lawn owl.
Long boy owl.
Final question, and of course I'm sure you guys knew this was coming. Can Toph truly be blamed for what happens to Appa, and why doesn't Appa just fly away to a safer height? Could Appa's fate have been avoided if Sokka hadn't taken so fucking long in that planetarium?
It's absolutely not Toph's fault. 100% not Toph's fault.
Yeah, I agree.
And as far as Appa flying away to a safer height, I think they snuck up on him and got the ropes over for him before he was able to fly away. If I'm remembering correctly. Like, it was a sneak attack, and the first thing they did was start to try and tie him down. So they had like 8 or 9 people just like working, and like sand benders that were like using the sand to anchor themselves. Like, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
Anything you want to add, Chaz?
I think I hate it, and it makes me very angry.
So, God, ugh.
Yeah, it's a gut punch. I'll say
really
that.
upset.
It's rough, man. It's rough. The next couple episodes, man, it's so raw. Oh God.
We could talk more about Appa here, but I think it's better to save the majority of that for when we get to the Appa Lost Days episode, because that's a lot.
My boy.
Yeah.
My boy.
So
And sweet baby boy. On God, if you say he's just a ride again, like they took his car or something, Aaron, I might beat your cheeks.
Dude, where's my car?
Dude, where's my
Where's your
bison?
car, dude?
Literally.
Where's your car, dude?
Before we get to the final bit where we review the episode, just again a reminder, you can follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter. You can also go to various platforms to find our show. You can go to patreon.com to support our show. Ryan, if they want to email us directly to tell us what we should really be calling Appa, where could they email us at?
They can email us at "This is a fucking kid show. We are discussing the morality of war and going through traumatic loss
On
of
a kid's show.
my goddamn bison is gone." No, sorry, save that. That is evacstation@gmail.com.
Man, this episode. So we get to review the episode from platinum to bronze, all the colors in between. Gentlemen, where do you rank these episodes? Let's start with Bitter Work. What would you rank that one?
I'm gonna give it a bronze.
A bronze, really?
Wait, okay. That's a big question that you're asking right there, Mike. I would say the whole like earthbending segment where he's learning how to earthbend, bronze. The part with Zuko is a freaking like gold. Like, I love. It's so good, Daddy Iroh
like,
coming in.
Come on, dog. There's some deep stuff in this episode.
There really
right?
is.
Yeah, so I would say if I'm allowed to do that, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
If not, I would give it a silver.
I was gonna say it balances that to silver in the end anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna split the difference, and I mean, like, I think the intro to earthbending is fun, and it sets a precedent for like the strength and resilience that we're gonna see in Aang throughout the later episodes. So it's definitely a great setup. But I think it's a lot of fun. It's good, and fucking Zuko screaming into the sky to strike him down because his
God
life
to kill
has
him
been horrible.
is amazing.
You know, for kids.
Um,
Fucking yeah, we will split the difference with silver on this one.
I am gonna actually lean towards gold.
Ooh.
And my
Ooh.
reason is because Zuko's whole section, Zuko and Iroh's whole section, without any criticism, it is pretty much the best part of the episode, hands down. But
Absolutely.
But the earthbending stuff, I liked earthbending quite a bit. I love the introduction to it. But on top of that too, I like that we see Aang go through a character arc that's actually really solid and helps form him for the rest of the season, even rest of the series actually. And I also appreciate the depth they go into in explaining the opposites with the whole bending thing. I think it's a really cool thing. It sets up for Legend of Korra pretty strongly. I think it overall does a lot of good setup that I really appreciate.
Definitely. And like this is the first time that Aang really has to work to get bending. Like we've seen him breeze through, no pun intended. We see him breeze through like anything bending related thus far. This is the first one he actually has to buckle down and do some shit. So yeah, it's definitely some character growth setup for him.
The fact that the kid masters energy bending, I mean, granted that's a little bit later, but still, it's like, what the heck?
I'm gonna have a conversation with this lion turtle and be like, "Oh yeah, like this, bong." Sorry, we'll get there.
He learned how to incept people's minds.
Literally. Wah.
And then a quick review for the library. Again, same colors. Where do you guys rank the library at?
Gold, dog, gold.
Bronze
This is
at
a gold.
best.
What?
Bronze at best, because again, it's setting up for me to be very angry.
Bad stuff, yeah.
No, I told Aaron this. Like, I get very upsetty spaghetti about these episodes coming up. So, it's not good.
That's understandable.
I would have to probably go gold as well. I'm going to be a gold whore for these few episodes here because these are some solid things we're getting. And I think my reason's because, again, there's a lot of good setup, there's a lot of good foreshadowing, and anything that touches the spirit world, even like a spirit library, dude, that's all my jam. I'm down for spirit stuff, so hands down, I'm all for this.
Absolutely.
Plus, Sokka looks like a badass for part of it. It's great. Sokka's awesome.
I mean, like it carries its fucking weight with the plot. Like this is where we get the information to set up the Day of Black Sun.
A whole season away from now. A whole season.
Like this sets up season 3, or this sets up like the first half of season 3. That's nuts. That like this one episode does the legwork for that, which is insane. But also you have a really, really complex question about like the nature of war being asked, and it sets up for some very, very sad episodes coming up. Episodes that really make the second season amazing, but also hard to watch. It's like season 2 is really good, but it's hard to watch because it makes you feel really bad, but it makes you feel deeply. So it does its craft very, very well.
I agree, but I'm bronze.
I understand.
we can't fight you. We get it.
I want to kill these fucking sandbenders. Nah, dead.
Dog.
Dead.
Like, on God, if I was Aang, I would straight up be beating some cheeks. Like, it would be no contest, hands getting thrown.
Like Kyoshi comes roaring out like, "Oh, let's get them! They took our who? Dog, it's over. It's
Dude,
done."
literally, Avatar stay, yip, and then Kyoshi come out and just start yeeting kids. Just absolutely beating the hell out of some children.
Well, if we're ready to tackle some earthbender or some sandbenders, we have a whole other episode here coming up in just a little bit. For those of you who are still listening now, we'll catch you next week and see you after the credits.
Bye.
Bye!